everyone. My name is Michael Schack from Antwerp, Belgium. I'm on Musicians on the Record today. I'm really excited. So let's hit it.
This is huge, musicians on the record. Bring it on.
Hi, welcome to Musicians on the Record. I'm David Ward. You've heard the music, now hear their story. I'm so excited. On the show today, we've got international drummer from Antwerp, Belgium. Michael Schack is on the show. Welcome, Michael.
Hello, Dave. Nice to see you, and good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Exactly, that's right. Or whatever time it is that someone is watching this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a 5 to 6 hour difference, but the same rhythm, so it doesn't matter.
There you go. Absolutely. It's a world rhythm. That's right.
Yeah.
Now, you've been touring lately. You've been, all over the world, because I first connected with you on Drumeo, and I had a chance to meet you at the NAMM show in Anaheim. You're in Belgium. You're going to Japan, you said, and I think you've been elsewhere. Tell me a little bit about your recent schedule and what's coming up for you.
Well, actually, the schedule is always going. I'm traveling a lot, not only with Netsky, the drum and bass live artist I'm playing with, but also as a Roland International artist and demonstrator. And with the release of the latest flagship model, the TD50, I've been traveling quite a lot also around Europe. And I've also already, in the last 6 months, I've been in the Benelux countries, of course, Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg. I've been in Scandinavia. I've been in Taiwan. I've been in the States, also at the NAMM show. I've been in the UK a couple of times. So I'm always on the road, but at the same time, I really have my home base here in Belgium, where I have my studio. So I'm also streaming the Drumeo lessons out of the studio. But for the rest of the year, now we're in springtime, so summer festivals are coming up. I'll be doing quite some solo performances at summer festivals in Belgium and Holland. But also with Netsky, we're gonna go to the East European countries. We're gonna go to Germany for a couple of summer festivals, and then in fall already scheduled. There are some drum festivals coming up. One big one in the UK, but also one in Canada. So I'll be touring Canada again in the month of October. That's already for sure as well. And at the end of May, and that's a big one, I'm going to Australia and New Zealand.
Wow. So you're worldwide.
Yeah, and I really like traveling. It's also not because of the fact that I like airplanes, but it's very inspiring to play, to play in front of many audiences, and especially drummers, because drummers are picky.
Yes.
So they tend to, pull the best out of you. And at the same time, I'm also trying to do my own thing and try to entertain not only the drummers, but also the girlfriends of the drummers.
That's right.
Because they also co-decide on whatever the husband is going to buy or
That's right.
or
You bet.
or whatever.
You bet.
So you have to play for everyone who is there. And that's a challenge I really like.
Absolutely. And is this mostly solo work? Because I know you're an amazing solo artist, but you also play in a couple of bands.
Yeah, exactly. But the main focus this year will be the solo thing. So it'll be drumming events like the drum camp stages at, for instance, the Frankfurt Music Fair, which is also still happening. And then, of course, the drum tours for Roland.
Yes.
But also, there's also going to be some solo concerts. So not like drum clinics.
Yeah.
And I have this concept where I am the DJ and the drummer.
Yes.
At the same time. I used to do it in a duo setup, which was called Square Electric. But I recently made the decision to do it by myself. To make it more clear that I am actually the DJ at the same time. And there's quite some bookings coming in for some summer festivals here in the Benelux countries. So I'm really excited about that
That's
as well.
great. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And if you haven't been able to see Michael yet, go catch him wherever he's coming to your town because he puts on an amazing show. So it's really
Yeah,
great.
thanks, Dave.
Absolutely.
Very
Yeah.
kind of you.
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoy your drumming. So, and I'm
Thank you.
hoping to get into some of that as we get into the
Okay.
Drumeo lessons. But let's begin a little bit with your story, Michael, as far as when was it that you fell in love with music and the drums?
I think my parents saw me moving on music when I was 4 years old, I think.
Wow.
My father and my mother they weren't practicing musicians. They were just music fans. But my father did play a bit of guitar. And when I was 7, they got me, for Santa Claus, they got me, for Christmas, they got me a snare drum, a very old snare drum. And I just started bashing on it. It didn't take long before I was experimenting, with washing powder boxes and so on to make a real drum set out of it. At that time, there was no internet, no YouTube, no nothing.
Yeah.
I was really, really young.
Yeah.
So I was actually musically put on the right path by my parents with their taste of music, and that went from James Brown to jazz to Quincy Jones to. So I was lucky to be in kind of a musically rich household.
Yes.
And then when I was 12 years old, I had my real first drum set, and I didn't actually study drums.
No.
I did follow private drum lessons with a very good drummer here in Belgium.
Okay.
But I didn't go after my high school, for instance. I actually studied economics at university.
Okay.
So I didn't go to any conservatory or any professional music. I didn't have any professional music education.
Okay.
And then during my university years and my marketing studies and economic studies, I ended up playing in this band. And when I graduated from with my degree in hand, suddenly this band released actually a CD. We recorded a CD, and it became a big success here in Belgium.
Wow.
And at a certain point, 3 months after I actually signed a contract to start working at a bank, we got the offer to go tour as a support act for a very famous band from Belgium who were selling a lot of albums. Their name was Vaya Con Dios.
Okay.
And they said, well, guys, come on, with your band Blue Blood, you can be our support act. Let's join on the tour bus. So I had to make a decision.
Yeah.
And, I jumped on the tour bus, and since then, it took its own path. So it was not intended to become a professional drummer, but after this 26 years nearly as a professional drummer, I would not ever be able to go back.
Absolutely. You're not going back into banking, you're saying, right?
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm still very interested in in what I studied, because I'm also I have my own company, small company, so I do my own accountancy, and I speak 4 languages fluently, which also helped a lot in becoming, let's say, a demonstrator for Roland, for instance.
Yes.
But the most important thing is that, and that's what I really see a lot happening, is sometimes that even touring drummers or professional musicians are not always capable of really organizing themselves in a professional way, not only musically, but also financially and practically.
Yeah.
And lucky me, and I thank my parents a lot for that. They always said, you can become a musician, you can be a musician, but you also need to be a professional. And this saved me a lot of money and a lot of headaches, being able to do this all myself. And that's maybe also why I'm this kind of, I'm always looking for new initiatives, like, for instance, jumping on the Drumeo bandwagon, or putting out my own play-along tracks and having my own commercial website where people can download stuff and so on. it's really comfortable to be able to do this yourself and not being dependent on people that people. As a professional drummer, you should take care of many things.
Yes.
And I had the opportunity to learn and then practically, adapt as a second pad.
And I've been talking to a lot of folks, Michael, about the music and the business and how to meld all of that. What advice would you give someone who's looking to just shore that up more and tighten that up more?
Well, get yourself in college. Very simple. Even when you're a little bit older, there's some great initiatives, also in the States, also in Canada, also in Asia, where let's say people that already have a professional thing going on, they can still re-educate themselves. And one big advantage I have to admit about being in Belgium is that even in middle school and in primary school, young children here already hear lots of different languages. Because in Belgium, for instance, there's 3 official languages. There's Flemish, which is Dutch, which is my native language. There's also a very big part of the country who speaks French. And then there's a very small part who speaks German. But if you can, as a musician, speak those 3 languages, that already gives you the opportunity to play some music in France.
Yes.
To play some music in the French part of Belgium, but also to play some music maybe in parts of Germany. And it's all very close. So in that aspect, we are a little bit more fortunate than, for instance, people that try to make a living in the States for music and they have to fly all the time.
Right.
I can drive my car and I can, for instance, play a gig in Holland in the afternoon, and in the evening maybe in the north of France.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a big advantage. But it also is a lot of work to learn to speak more than just one language. But it is so important. And even at NAMM show, when you see a lot of those talented drummers, as soon as some of them, for instance, can speak a little bit of Mexican, Spanish, that opens up possibilities in the Latin American countries for them.
That's right.
And if you can talk to the drumming fans in their own language, it immediately breaks the ice.
Yeah. It's great advice. Thank you. Going back a little bit to when you were coming up, your sort of upbringing, it sounds like mostly self-taught, a little bit of teaching. Who were some of your inspirations musically, whether drumming or music in general?
Well, lately I get that question a lot, and there's always 2 names that pop up. Actually, there's 2 names and a band of drummers that pop up. Number 1, Billy Common, because when I started playing, he was like the first drum clinician I saw live. I was only 11 years old, I think.
Wow.
And it really changed. It's such an impressive thing as a young kid to see this kind of drumming in front of you. It was here in a music store here in Belgium, not far from where I live. And then the second surely was Stuart Copeland.
Yeah.
Because at that time the police were coming up, and I'm speaking about I was a little older then, but I'm talking about the 1982-1983 era.
Sure.
And then there was this, I call them a family of idols. Those are all the drummers who play P-Funk music.
Say it again.
All the drummers that play P-Funk music.
P-Funk.
So all the drummers that played with George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic.
Yeah.
Also the drummers who played, for instance, with Chuck Brown, the typical go-go beat, Washington, D.C. kind of style. There were some amazing talents. And some of those drummers, only Dennis Chambers actually became really, really famous as an original drummer of Parliament Funkadelic.
Yes.
But most of the other drummers never made it into drummers, but just the groove they had, and also the feel, and especially, the locking in with the bass player, that always moved me. And it's not a coincidence that, For instance, I also became a fan of the Police because the Police, that's Sting, and he's a bass player, and Stuart Copeland is a drummer, and it's
Yes.
only it was only a trio.
Right.
So that might be, let's say the needle that puts everything together.
That's right.
Yeah.
And for you, Michael, what was that original dream? Did you dream about drumming the way you're drumming now, or teaching, or being in a famous rock band? What was that dream for you?
My dream has never been to be in a famous band. My dream has always been to be on stage.
Yeah.
And I enjoy playing with a band, but I also enjoy a lot being on stage as a drummer.
Yeah.
It's my drug. I actually, compared to some of the colleague drummers, professional colleague drummers I have here in Europe, I was not really focused on songwriting or, selling albums, or, for instance, also defending the rights of the composers when people started illegally downloading a lot of CDs and so on.
Yeah.
No, I just saw this. My goal was I need to be on stage. That's my drug. That's what I live for, and that's why I join most. And that can be in front of 10 people at a small music store, or, for instance, giving a workshop, or in front of thousands of people with Netsky.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's the adrenaline fix I need to have. It's a little bit the same, he's also, I learned a lot from going to some of Dom Familaro's clinics.
Yeah, sure.
He has this positivity, and he has I watched him quite sometimes, and I think I stole some of his positivity and also the way he speaks to people.
Yeah.
Music is not supposed to be too serious.
Right.
It just needs to be a lot of fun.
That's right.
And the stage is my biotope.
Yeah.
If you can say so.
Yeah.
Of course, the studio is nice, but everything I do here in my studio or wherever I record, it's always the ultimate goal is to take that to the stage.
And I was reading something recently where someone was talking about being in the studio and actually, when they were recording, visualizing performing, being out on stage and using that intensity in the studio. Do you do that?
All the time.
Okay.
Exactly. When I come up with, for instance, with some idea for, let's say, a new sound for the Roland TD50, I'm always thinking, how will it sound in a big theater? Or how will it make the people dance?
Yeah.
So I will never, for instance, really design my own user kits for jazz players, because that's not the thing I do on stage.
Right.
I will be able to do it, but there will always be some kind of hybrid influence of a kick and a snare on a one and a two.
Yeah.
So that's really, that's my natural thing.
Can you say a little bit can you describe that feeling of being on stage, and what's your preparation for getting ready to go on stage and perform?
My preparation for getting on stage is, first of all, prepping your drum set. It's very simple. It's not about prepping myself or specific warm-up exercises. No, the very first thing I need to make sure is that the drum set, A, is sounding good, B, is working, and C, that I have a good relationship with the sound guy. I've become a little bit of a sound guy myself. Because I know how important this factor is. So my prepping is drum set and the technical side.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit of a geek, but at the same time, I'm also very friendly. For instance, I probably, if one day I'm not going to be here anymore, and at my funeral, it would be amazing if someone told me, this guy was a good drummer, but he was a great guy to work with on the live stage.
Yeah.
So I tend to make friends with engineers instead of harassing them with my demands.
Yeah.
Because that makes the people dance. When you play well and it sounds good in those PA speakers and people react to it, you know your message is coming through.
Absolutely.
Secondly, of course, in a physical way, you also need to, prepare yourself. But for me, that's not about preparation. It's more about maintenance. For instance, that's my personal choice.
Yeah.
I don't drink alcohol and I don't smoke.
Okay.
And one of the reasons that I'm still growing physically, I'm quite a powerful player. I'm
Yes.
a hard hitter.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older now, but I have no issues with muscles or whatever. And partly, probably because I try to do things healthy.
Yeah.
But I still go to McDonald's.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a vegetarian.
Yeah.
So that's another way of preparation. Always, listen to your body. I don't do extreme sports. I don't go skiing. I don't really ride a motorbike.
Yeah.
I tend to avoid all risks.
Yeah.
And then, thirdly, a little bit of warm up, and there we go.
Yeah.
But warm up is for me the third thing.
Third thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like, that nice connection with the engineer, that's the other side of being a good musician, is the people skills that it takes.
Yeah, the people skills, but you have to know what you want, and that also demands a little bit of studying. So, for instance, I really know what a compressor can do. I know about EQing. I know about speaker setups because I learned from them.
Yeah.
I usually go to sound checks.
Mm-hmm.
I always go to sound checks if I'm involved in the production.
Yeah.
I'm not a musician who ends up being on stage after 5 minutes early arrival with some limousine or whatever.
Yeah.
I could join, for instance, the singer of the band, who tends to arrive a little bit just in front of the performance. No, I want to be early, and if possible, I always go sound check. Always.
Yeah.
Because it comforts me. It's a great warm up as well. You already can feel a little bit of the vibe on stage, and I will always try to go to sound check. Always.
Yeah.
And do it myself. Instead of, even when there's a drum roadie in the production or whatever, I will still do the sound check myself.
Yeah.
I love doing sound checks.